And this is alleged to have happened in 2012.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is the validity. I don't know if that's necessarily true in any way. I was just trying to give context as to how long Elon has been here. Yes, he did in fact come from money. So his raising was in fact a, uh, like
Belay my last. He came here in 95, so not
And
92.
all right, guys. All right. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next
that's when he
video.
received his degree, wasn't it?
Huh?
What wasn't 95 when he received his degree? Not when
No, he came to the United States in 95, received his degree in 2000, or became a citizen.
I like
Oh,
that so much. I really do. But all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get on to Hannity. And shout out to my man Jet. He says, not gonna lie, Bongino is awfully talkative all of a sudden. So let's go ahead and
So
get
he
into
said
that.
he lived in Pennsylvania for 3 years.
But
I just don't know.
Para.
drop it.
That's why he played
Farrah.
the music.
It's okay, bro.
But I'm
We
just
can
gonna hammer the
we can
point.
continue that outside.
Yeah, we'll continue that on the other side. And shout out to shout out to Ham. He said, just show the messages. Jet said, I need
bro,
the messages.
at this point, if somebody else complain about my headphones echoing and I know they not echoing because I done restarted them,
When I
I'm gonna
can
start
hear myself
screaming.
in the background coming
Quit
from
being
your mic,
loud.
it's echoing.
Quit be
No,
quit being
turn
loud,
your
you
mic
country
down.
bumpkin.
Turn your mic down.
They're on headphones. Can't do that.
Turn your mic. Turn your mic sensitivity down.
Oh damn.
You don't need it all the way up if you have a mic on your face.
For headphones, for Bluetooth headphones, Monty. Come on, listen.
And all right. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to our guy here, Sean Hannity. He interviewed Kristi Neoms. So we're gonna get back into this whole ICE shooting debate here.
Wait. One more thing. Monty, if you start talking tough again, I'm going to come and take one random DeWalt tool that I know for a fact you're not using.
Which one?
You're not going to know. Just take it.
But all right.
Then every time I talk, I can hear myself unless you're muted.
Which is true.
I'm stealing your circular saw.
I do use that bitch. Leave my circular saw. You can have my heat gun.
No,
All
I'm
right,
taking the blade.
The blade.
Tonight, all eyes on Minneapolis, where anti-ICE protests continue to sweep the city following a second fatal shooting involving immigration officials over the weekend. Here now with the very latest, DHS Secretary Kristi Neoms. Madam Secretary, thanks for being with us. I want to talk about how untenable the whole situation is and why. I'm going to get to that. There seems to be two criticisms that have emerged, and I want to give you a chance to address them. One was an ex-post 2.5 hours after the Preddy shooting that an individual approached the officer with a 9mm semi-automatic. Officers feared for their safety. And that's why the shooting occurred. It seems, as you look at videos, that the weapon may have been stripped, though, before that happened. And I guess my question is, was that statement premature?
Well, Sean, I know you realize that situation was very chaotic and that we were being relayed information from on the ground from CBP agents and officers that were there. We were using the best information we had at the time, seeking to be transparent with the American people and get them what we knew to be true on the ground. So we will continue to follow the investigation that the FBI is leading and giving them all the information that they need to bring that to a conclusion and make sure that the American people know the truth of the situation and how we can go forward and continue to protect the American people.
As
What we
untenable
knew
as
to be
this
true
is,
on the
and,
ground is
and
wild.
all these politicians
guys.
pouring.
All right, Parabot, go ahead and explain that for one.
So what she's saying is she was gaining information, which may have 100% been true. I'm assuming that she was, right? And she made a statement based off of the information she was gaining without getting the full scope of the information, right?
Yeah.
So therefore her statement was premature, right?
That's true. I'll give it to you. When she came out off the hip and started saying that,
We
domestic terrorists,
just
and
and
Stephen Miller
we
came off with
were
assassin.
we were just getting what was the truth on the ground at the time. The truth isn't subjective. The truth is objective. Now there are personal truths that I won't doubt that, but when we're talking about a situation that unfolds, we're looking at objective truths, not subjective truths.
Yeah, I was also
Shooting off the hip.
wondering at that.
Mhm. All right.
Gasoline on what is already a difficult situation, and that's enforcement of the law, arresting the worst of the worst, and I'll get to that in a minute. The president's called for a full investigation. Stephen Miller seemed to concede that maybe some protocols weren't followed. You know, again, everything's hindsight 2020, and these things go down very
Hey, Sid, I'm about to leave and come back.
All right, big dog. Oh,
You don't have to announce your exit.
I'm weak. And shout out to my man Ham. He says everyone has the right to be a miserable bastard in our country. Made fun of Charlie Kirk, Goody, Preddy, etc. Our right to be assholes, not how we should be though. I mean, yeah, we do have a right to be assholes, not how we should be, but
Agree 100%.
Yeah, and when you are an asshole about it, I have a right to judge you for it.
me, I try, man. Sometimes my dark humor accidentally slips out, but I truly try.
Accidentally?
I swear, I sometimes I say stuff and it just be like, yeah, that was
Surprise yourself.
my bad, guys. If I ever did that, my bad.
Any lessons to be learned, handle things differently going forward?
Well, Sean, that's part of the reason why we have several layers of an investigation here. We believe that we can always do better, and we seek to do that every single day. And we want to make sure that we not only improve protocols on the ground.
Hold on, I gotta shout out my man, Sell You Light podcast. Make sure you follow my man. My man actually got me some what was it? Man, I was actually talking to a pretty big content creator that was one of my inspirations when I started content creating, Angry Man. So, bro, I appreciate you for linking me up on that panel, bro. I truly appreciate that. So make sure to follow my man for that because he did me a huge favor.
In chaotic and volatile situations like this, but that we continue to find the truth around this situation and get the facts to the American people and make sure that we continue to do our work every day with integrity, but that we continue to be able to get criminals and dangerous people off the streets like these officers have been doing for months, ever since President Trump came back into office. They take an oath to go out and protect these communities and to keep them safe, and that's one of the jobs.
Now, Parabolic, I gotta ask you a question though, and just like follow me on this. Don't you think it's a bit crazy how like Minnesota hasn't provided like really any type of help to these ICE officers to prevent these deaths, like, you know, crowd control? Because think about it, you know, Jacob Fry could brought in local police in the surrounding area with the help of Tim Walz, and they could provide a police barricade to keep these protesters out. But since this isn't happening, these protesters are turning obstructionists and getting themselves hurt. So is there like, can we not put at least like, I don't know, 60% of the blame on Walz?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say like 50-50, right? Federal versus like state and local government. Absolutely. Right.
All
So
right,
like
so
I'm
what
not
makes
gonna
you
sit
blame the
here
federal
and
then?
pretend like there aren't people doing things to like actively make things worse, or at least not try to make things better. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like that, right? But what I am gonna say is that in the situations on the ground, in like a humanist situation, like all I'm looking at this is from like, I don't want anyone to die, and if I can make sure that everyone is as safe as possible, then that's probably my ideal situation, right?
All right,
So you're
That's why the Renee
go
Good
ahead,
situation
Monty.
I talked about, them needing to be behind her whenever they're you know, quote unquote casing the vehicle. That's why whenever I was talking about the Alex Peretti situation, I'm talking about the fact that they needed to be examining all parts of the situation and not just be hasty in their actions. That's why I talked about with this Neoms situation, she needed to get all the facts beforehand. I'm just looking at it from a perspective of like, how can we be the most safe? And how can we be the most safe is we can get the most information that is available to us without like violating people's rights. That's it.
All right, Monty, what's going on? Yeah, pushback.
so you would no, I don't have any pushback. Everything he's saying on its face is completely true. You should You shouldn't interfere with law enforcement. There should be law enforcement there, like police officers, not law enforcement. There should be police officers there that are doing crowd control measures. I personally think that it's not a it's not a priority for them because they like the chaos. It serves their message better. Um, and the options are not the state can't make it safe, so the federal government just doesn't enforce laws anymore. That's completely preposterous. I know you didn't propose that, but that is the general feeling that I'm getting from the messaging. It's like, oh, we just want everybody to be safe. And well, we can't make it safe because the state won't do it. So because the state won't do things that they're supposed to do to keep their people safe, then I should just get out of the area. And again, I'm gonna reiterate. I know you didn't say that, but other people have said that, and it goes and goes and goes, and then something pops off, and then everybody wants to armchair quarterback. And I know Parabolic. I'll give it to him. In the previous things that I was watching when my phone died, he said exactly that. You have to look at the totality of the situation, even before we had all the new information that we have. And I agree with him. You do have to look at the entire situation. When this Peretti thing first happened, the first thing I said is they just shot that man for no reason. And then when you look at it and you zoom back and you look at all the aspects of things, Peretti could have walked away. He absolutely could have walked away. He could have not, engaged in crime. He's been given multiple chances not to do this, and he chose. It's an altruistic thing to do, but he chose a violent confrontation with police officers over just peacefully protesting. And I don't think he should be labeled as a peaceful protester when he's interfering. By definition, is not peaceful.
All right. And shout out to my man Chad. He says, I support ICE, but I think she needs to be replaced. She made this, I don't know, the way she handled Minnesota, that's not too good. But it seems like she's doing well in other areas. But then I ain't gonna lie, media-wise, she shot herself in the foot by just jumping off the porch both times on Renee Good and Alex Preddy with the whole domestic terrorist claim. It's like
they need to keep her away from a camera, and she needs to do the job she's been doing pretty well. And she just needs to stay off camera. Labeling somebody as a domestic terrorist, while like I said, I apply the same logic to the Insurrection Act. There is an insurrection going on, but the Insurrection Act is not necessary. They do fit the definitions of domestic terrorists, but you do not label them as domestic terrorists because that is a very, very, very one controversial and very too hard to prove.
Yeah.
So she shouldn't be doing that. She is being stochastic and riling up a base when this should not be partisan politics.
All right, let's get back to it.
That they take very seriously, especially in Minneapolis, as we've seen this kind of violent riots go forward and attack them.
I think in the Renee Good case, it was more clear cut because we had the video. Clearly, she accelerated towards an officer. Injuries were incurred by the officer, internal bleeding, as I understand it. If I'm wrong, correct me on that. I think in this case, it's
can
a
we just
little
pause
bit
for right
different.
quick?
Bruising.
You're gonna go on the internal bleeding.
Bruising can be seen as internal bleeding.
I don't really care. I mean,
Go
sure, class 1 hemorrhage or whatever can be considered internal bleeding, which is
I tackled that. It's a bunch of garbage.
I'm not sitting here trying to. I don't. Again, my contestation, it has always been that they shouldn't have been in the situation to begin with. Like, again, I go back to this whole the B pillar policy. Monty, I assume maybe you looked that up after hearing my arguments.
I did not see the pillar. You said pillar of policy?
Pillar.
Yeah, when me and him was debating the shooting.
B pillar policy. Oh yeah, where you stand.
B pillar policy.
I know what you're talking about. Where you stand behind the actual B pillar. Of the vehicle.
That is what I have been shouting from the rooftops in the Renee Good situation. That has been my point, right? It's they needed to have followed safe procedures beforehand to not have been in that situation.
I mean, yeah, but the result is you just die then. That's not the result we want. That's not the country we want.
No, not if you're
No. because he did something wrong does not mean he just dies and has no recourse.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Okay.
about so we're talking about Barnes versus Felix and whether or not the shot itself was justified, right?
Yes.
Under Barnes versus Felix, if he would have utilized the B pillar policy that they are instructed to do, he would not have been in front of the vehicle, anywhere in front of the vehicle, regardless if he was like kind of on the side and she put him in front or whatever. He wouldn't have been in front of the B pillar so that she could have done that. And that has been my contestation this whole time.
So you do know where the B pillar is, right?
Yeah,
I'm not.
right
I'm not.
behind.
I want to
So
illustrate
it's
this for other
between the
people that
front
don't
and
understand.
front driver's side and back driver's side door. That's that little line. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's where he should have been at all points in time, and we see it even his own camera footage that he definitely walks in front of the vehicle at least one time and remains in front of that B pillar on multiple occasions, and that has been my contestation.
Right, but there's not
about why it's not a justified shot. That is it. Past that, yes, if his life was already in danger, yeah, of course he's going to shoot. I understand that. I'm not talking about the mentality of the subject or like the actual like the mentality of the shot.
But what you're wrong about is that does not make it an unjustified shot.
Yes, it does. So if they would have been following safe procedures, this is what they're talking about in Barnes versus Felix, right? In Barnes versus Felix, they talk about how if an officer would have just used safe procedure, and even you were talking, I think someone said something the other day about, oh, the other guy's arm was in there. Well, in Barnes versus Felix, that was the exact situation that had occurred. The officer could have pulled his arm out instead of trying to fire in. That was what happens in Barnes versus Felix. And that is what I'm talking about. Safe procedures. Never having been past that B pillar. The other officer not having reached his arm inside the vehicle. These are things that they could have done that would have made them more safe, and they could have arrested her later. Right? This is what we talk about, safe procedures. This is why Barnes versus Felix exists, so that the moment of the shot isn't the only thing we're looking at anymore. It's how we got to that point. They did not follow the B pillar policies and got to the point where he was.
So show me in the law where there's a B pillar policy.
Yes, gotcha.
Because it doesn't exist. What you're referring to is the DOJ's policy on use of force on a vehicle, and that's not relevant in this situation. It's not a fleeing vehicle. When you perceive a threat as a threat towards you, it's no longer a fleeing vehicle. It's an act of aggression.
All right,
okay, so you do realize I'm talking about before the vehicle drives away. He should have never been there, right? That is what the B pillar policy
so
is.
you do not get to adjudicate what an officer can and can't do, and you do not get to just floor the gas because someone's standing in front of you. That you don't get to do that.
I'm not saying that you do. Again, I conceded that she did so many wrong things in that. Right? That's not what we're arguing.
And if you put
I'm arguing is that these officers, had they just been utilizing their training, which tells them not to get in front of a fucking vehicle, he would not have needed to shoot her.
Oh, yeah. So officers have never stepped in front of any vehicles thinking that it's a safe situation.
For the most part, they have been shown to not have been a justified shot.
Really? So what was that video with the Jeep where the officer was standing directly in front of the Jeep and she was killed? And it was the person was charged with homicide, and that the shooting was ruled as justified?
Because that person was doing something illegal.
Oh, it's almost like two wrongs don't make a right. So the little scuff up in policy that you want to point to does not rise to the level of a law, first of all, and it does not have any
little freaking her being in the middle of the street doesn't rise to her being shot. So again,
it's called an escalation of force.
In front of the B pillar, Monty, listen to me.
I have listened. No, can I say my point? You've talked the B pillar to death because you think it's some linchpin in your argument, and I'm undoing it. It's not a linchpin in your argument. It is irrelevant to the point. It is irrelevant. The answer to your point that you're making is not, oh, he was unsafe, so he just has to take getting run over. That's not how that works. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. So it's a justified shooting.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay. All right then.
It's
We're gonna
not a
go
All
just.
ahead.
right. Let's
Go ahead and try to pull that on a cop and see what happens to you.
All right, let's go ahead and get over to the next video because now we get done with
Cop
Kristi
shouldn't have been
Neoms.
there. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, so every cop that's in front of that vehicle should
music.
never be in. So when they pin a vehicle in, and go over the front of the hood, they're not supposed.
And
That
all
was
right,
that
there.
was
Time.
rude.
Both debaters go back to your corners and prepare for the next round. Okay, are we good?
That was rude as hell. You cut me off as I'm making a point.
Monty,
But let him go on and on and on
Monty, I
unopposed.
said stop, and nobody wanted to stop, so I had to interject.
Just kick him
I was
out.
letting you.
He
I was
said his
letting you
piece. I
guys
want to say
go
my piece
on.
now.
I was letting you guys go on, so I wasn't trying to be rude. So sorry if you got that impression, but no, I was just trying to keep the show going. But all right, though, let's get over to the next video here.
B-pillar policy. It doesn't even
It's
exist.
important to remember two things. First, it is never good when someone dies. Never, ever. No one wants to see bloodshed, period, full stop. But as Tom Homan pointed out way back in September, right here on this show, Democrats, the legacy media mob, they are inciting this flashpoint with months of hyper, emotional, feigned, moral outrage, Gestapo, Nazi, fascist. Take a look.
I said in March, Sean, back in March, I said if this hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. Someone's going to die. I've seen this movie before. I've been doing this for 41 years. It's never been this bad. And of course, the left's all crazy. But there's already been 3 shootings just in Texas. There was a shooting at a CBP facility trying to kill a Border Patrol agent. He picked the wrong facility. That was a SWAT training facility, and they killed him. Then there was another thing just south of Dallas where they attacked an ICE facility, and an officer got shot in the neck. Now we have this, another assassination, and where, an alien died. And it's just, and I'm telling you, I'll say it again, unless the rhetoric stops, it's not over. And it's scary. I'm
Hold on, set.
for the men and women.
Yo,
So in the meantime, I went up and I looked up this mythical B-pillar policy that he's talking about. They are referring to not reaching into a car. Not that you can't do that. That is a safe practice not to do it. Not that you can't reach in and rip somebody out of their car, because how do you reach in and rip anybody out of their car? It literally says, do not cross the threshold of the B-pillar into the vehicle. And there's no policy on it. It is a training tactic employed so that, again, you don't have someone getting drugged by a vehicle. It has nothing to do with where you have to stand during a traffic stop. That's a completely disingenuous point, and I knew it was bullshit when he brought it up, but now I know for sure it's complete bullshit of what he's saying.
All right. On another note,
Damn it, he's not in here? God fucking damn it. Sorry.
Okay, so on another note, I'm gonna try to talk over my daughter, who decided that now is the perfect time to get mouthy. God, love my kids, but golly, bro, sometimes pick a different time. So Kristi Neoms needs to go. She's got to go. I can't.
He's ruining the message.
I went back and watched a lot of the hot button topics. And she's real good at opening her mouth, but saying real bad about saying the right stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to open your mouth about something, how about tell us how those people in Carolina are doing? You know, the ones that got pummeled by, was it 1 or 2 hurricanes, left without electricity? How are they doing? You feel what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna talk yourself up, go ahead and make sure you're doing good. Her rhetoric has been very short-sighted, and even out of her own mouth, she has stated on multiple occasions that she was just going off of the information she had, and she's being kind of a Pam Bondi. She's being she's being kind of a Pam Bondi, and
100%.
And I think that across both sides of the aisle, that's a fair statement to say.
Yeah.
Bro,
They're on my desk.
But it's on the card. It's the administration of bimbos, so it's getting tough out here.
God damn it.
I know, right? I was like, Not when they
You
got
can't. You
seconds,
can't even
20.
argue with that. You see
Yeah.
that would be a
Yeah.
joke. That would be a joke that Jimmy Kimmel could make. That would actually be funny. Not,
Right.
MAGA's trying to make it sound like anybody did it but them.
Wild.
So,
But, all right.
real quick,
Yeah.
off topic, there is I posted something. I know, a song for when you have a second. I think you might like
God
this
damn
one.
it, Tove. You and your songs. Make a YouTube
All right.
channel. Post those on there.
All right, let's get back
I'm
to
not
it.
sure
I'll watch them.
my
Twice
computer
every night.
completely reset every single thing on my desktop, but that's why I left apparently.
Did you hear what I said?
Oh yeah,
But
I heard the whole thing. So again, I'm referring to traffic stops. They are trained not to move past the B pillar
into the car, not lateral of the car.
Again, the diagram itself also shows the frontal of the vehicle, like in front of the vehicle, not just inside the vehicle, right? So
Yes. So
it's past this point where you are in a quote unquote danger zone. And again, so this is my point. So yes, it may just be policy, and I'm not speaking on a specific law, but it is policy. And what I'm talking about, right, is we're referring to the policy of safe procedures and applying it to Barnes versus Felix, understanding the totality of the circumstances.
No,
Wait,
can
can I
I
jump in?
interject? Hold on.
I want.
No, gaming.
Hey, I sat backstage and listened to y'all go at it. I want to
I
jump
don't
in and
want to
say
hear it.
something.
I need, this is a conversation and you're throwing it off. I need
I'm
to
not
get my,
throwing it off. Hey, Seth, can you mute him? Because I would like
what
to
the
say
fuck?
something.
Damn.
No.
Well,
Yes.
I mean,
Me and Parabolic are having a conversation. I cannot effectively communicate my points if I have people co-signing on different points.
I ain't
Is
co-signing
this
on
an
nothing.
80s
I'm responding to
conversation?
something that he said, and I'm giving a point of clarification. Now, damn it, I've been backstage listening to you two go back and forth for the past 5 minutes. Hold your damn horses. Parabolic, to your point, what that whole matter of procedure thing, do you know where that comes from? Parabolic?
Oh, are you asking me? Oh,
Yeah.
I
Do
thought
you
you
know?
were just gonna tell where it came from. Please,
Yeah.
I would love your insight.
So that came from a massive amount of law enforcement officers. It's actually a part of law enforcement course. They actually started teaching the same curriculum to veterans going into the service, to law enforcement service. And that comes from whenever officers would approach cars, it used to be they would just walk straight up to the driver's side window. And what
Yep.
happened is a lot of people would have their hand on their pistol, and as soon as they show up to the window, they blast them. So the B pillar policy isn't law. It's taught so that when you approach a vehicle, if you ever like see somebody get pulled over, you'll see the police officer standing kind of off to the side.
Yeah.
It gets them out of that kill box.
Yes, and that's actually my point. That's literally my point. So again,
That
you
has nothing
apply
to do
that.
with, but that has nothing to do with crossing in front of a vehicle, though.
It does. That's literally the kill zone that you were referring to.
No, the kill.
No, it's not. What he's
The
talking
kill
about
zone.
is in front of the B pillar, which is behind the driver's head.
Yes.
Again, I'm a firefighter. I have to know how to cut the B pillar. It's
Mhm.
behind the driver's head. And if you go in front